Today we are diving deep into the subject of anchoring, and I want to start this lesson off by asking you a question. What do you think causes the most anchoring shit shows? Is it bad anchors, weak and rusty chains, strong winds? Because according to maritime safety studies and incidents reported by insurance companies, somewhere between 70 to 90% involve a human error. So usually, it's not the anchors, it's the decisions around it. When I finished my Yacht Master course, I thought that anchoring is just about where you drop your anchor and how much anchor chain you're dropping. But reality slapped me hard, because the first few times that I slept on anchor, I was so stressed that a big shit show might happen. And now, after spending more than 500 nights on anchor on 100 type of different boats, I have categorized and summed up the 5 main components that I think anchoring is about. I will go over them and explain why you should understand them and take them into consideration so that they can help you prevent your next big anchor shit show. This is not a how to anchor video. If you want to check out the how to anchor video with the full process, check out this video right here. In this video, I wanted to talk about the stuff that are often not talked about in your normal anchoring video. And like always, I am honest with what I know and what I don't know. And I haven't got to experience every type of boat in every type of location, so please feel free to start a healthy discussion in the comment section and enlighten us with your knowledge. The 5 main components of anchoring are the anchor, the chain, the ground, the environment, and the mindset. Each one of them holds a crucial part for your safety at anchor, so do not neglect any of them. I'm going to go over them. Some of them might be very obvious to you, but some might throw in a new perspective that you haven't thought about. So get your pen and papers ready, because we're starting with the first component. The anchor. Its main job is to get stuck in the ground and make it harder for the boat to drag. You also have sea anchors or sea drogues that create friction with the water and slow you down. Anchors can be used for routine swim stops, tea breaks, anchoring overnight in bays, and even in marinas. Anchors can be also used as an emergency tool to stop you from drifting towards dangers. For example, if you lose your maneuverability and you are drifting towards rocks. You can also use the anchor to unrun aground yourself by setting up the anchor at a further point and then pulling on the chain to undrag yourself from the bottom. And my first personal favorite use of the anchor is to practice freediving on it. Now, anchors come in different shapes for different usage, but the main anchor type that we're going to talk about in this video is the plowing type anchors. These anchors can dig themselves better in the ground to create more resistance. Other types of anchor include the claw Bruce anchor, which is generally good with rocks. You have the mushroom anchor, which is great for stationary anchors like mooring balls sometimes. And you have the Admiralty anchor, which is terrific for tattoos and to print on boxers, because I didn't see any usage of them anymore. The best all-around anchor that you can have for your sailboat is probably the Ultra anchor. Now, this anchor flips when it touches the ground, and it has those curvy edges that helps it dig way better. Now, this anchor is part of those plowing anchors that I talked about, and from my own uses and research, this is the top performing one. Not to diminish from the simple Delta anchor that I use all the time on charter boats, and it's just working great. But if it was my boat and I had the option, I would probably invest in buying an Ultra anchor. Now, this is not a sponsored video. This is my opinion beforehand, but I hope that by the time this video is up, I have some sort of an affiliate link with Ultra Anchor so that you can get yourself a discounted anchor and support my channel while you are doing this. So thank you very much. Check the link down below. Your wife might be telling you something else, but here, I'm sorry to disappoint you. The size does matter. The size and the weight of the anchor affects its holding power directly. In an ideal world, get the biggest anchor that you can, but redundancy and the power pulling of your winch do play a role here. So get the size anchor that fits the size of your boat. But here, it's where, your usage come into play. If you do plan to anchor a lot, maybe get a little bit of bigger anchor than what your boat is capable of to get that optimal holding power. And if you're a racer, get a smaller anchor. When you're deploying your anchor, we want to have the plowing side sitting on the ground. Sometimes you might drop it and it sits upside down, and then even if you try to pull it, the anchor is just scraping the ground. Now that we covered the anchor aspect, let's jump to its best friend, the chain. The chain might be actually playing a more crucial role than the anchor itself, because I've swam around busy anchorages during charter season and I was very surprised to find out boats that are staying in place even with wind pushing them and their anchor is just laying on the ground upside down. This made me understand two things. One is that I don't need to stretch as much as I do when my anchor is not fully dug into the ground, and second, how much holding power the chain has. The anchor chain is significantly heavier than the anchor, and while the anchor is supposed to be dug into the sand, the majority of the holding power comes from the heavy weight of the chain, performing that line, that curve that gives the boat a lot of holding power. So again, like before, when you're choosing your anchor size and weight, the heavier you will go, the better hold you will have, but the harder it will be to pull it up. So think about your uses and choose whatever size will fit the size of your boat. Make sure that your anchor is well connected to the chain and make sure that your chain is in good condition because this might be your weak link in the entire procedure. You can connect the anchor to the chain by using a swivel, which will help you turn around the anchor to this right position when you are bringing the anchor up. Some patterns work better than the other, but even the best one will still occasionally fail, even if you are presenting them in a boat show. And now for the big question, how much anchor chain to drop? In reality, the more anchor chain you drop, the better hold you will have, but the bigger swing radius, then you might be endangering other boats or rocks and stuff like this. But also when you're dropping a lot of anchor chain, later you're gonna be needing to lift all that anchor chain back up, which is not always fun. That's why there is a general rule to follow, a general ratio that provides good holding. And again, like always, this really depends on the size of your anchor, your chain, the type of boats, the currents, the environment, a lot of stuff. But as a general rule, dropping in a ratio of 1:4 and 1:5 is generally good for overnight stays. And when I'm talking about the ratio, I mean, for example, if the water depth is 9 meters and you're dropping the anchor from a freeboard of 1 meter, your entire depth is 10 meters, and then the amount of anchor chain that you need to drop should be around 40 to 50 meters. Having this type of ratio means that you let out enough chain to have enough weight to have some sort of holding power. But it's not just that, you also just created that curve that physically keeps you in place a little bit better. But more than this, you've just created an angle for the anchor to dig better in the ground. If you're using less chain than this, then you have that straight angle and the anchor cannot be digging into the ground as efficient. A small little note here, I would always drop more than 25 meters of chain. Even if I'm dropping in 4 meters of depth, according to this ratio, I should drop to around 16 to 20 meters. In that case, I would scrape that ratio and just drop 25 to 30 meters minimum. If you've got the room to swing, you can of course drop more, also if you're expecting stronger winds. And if you did in fact start to drag anchor, the best first solution that you can do is just let out more chain and then see if you are holding. If you're planning a little swim stop, a ratio of 1:3 might also just work. And I'll let you in on a little secret. If the ground is good, I have stayed overnight on anchor with 50 meters of chain dropped in a 18 meters depth, which makes it even less than a 1:3 ratio, and I was still holding well. Because whatever you do, if you test your anchor, you can trust it. And this is something super important that I'm explaining in my how to anchor video right here. Two final quick points to touch on the subject of the chain. One is to count how much chain you are dropping by looking at the markings on your anchor chain. But if you're lucky enough to get a charter boat without any anchor marking, then you can count how much distance it covers in a period of time, in a second, and then just count how many seconds you're dropping anchor and have a rough estimation of how much anchor chain you have dropped. Not the most optimal thing, but it is what it is. Sometimes we gotta get creative. And the final point is the snubber. The snubber is a line that you tie from the anchor chain to the cleats of the boat to reduce the tension from the anchor windlass. And like everything in the boating, it has its pros and cons. The pros is that you make no tension on the anchor windlass and you give it more life. You're not putting all the tension overnight on the anchor windlass. But the disadvantage is that during an emergency, it's one more thing that you need to keep in mind, and sometimes snubbers get stuck. So Now you know the pros and cons, and it's up to you if you want to use it. Before we jump into the third component, if you enjoyed this video, like it and share it with your sailor friends. This helps a lot. I've got hundreds of videos, educational videos coming out every day, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. And now let's jump into the third component, the ground. Mud, rocks, gravel, coral reef, seaweed, seagrass. These are all seabed types that technically you can drop your anchor on. But please, everyone, let's keep the sea and the marine life a little bit prettier so our children can enjoy them. Let's put the truth on the table. Humans, boats are not an ecological thing. All right, we damage the environment, but let's try to minimize our impact by not dropping our anchor on marine life. And yes, seagrass is marine life. It absorbs carbon. It's a marine habitat. So please make sure that your anchor and your anchor chain are not touching any seagrass. Even a small dig or the anchor touching them will damage them for years, and they play such a crucial role in the marine environment. So please, everyone, let's keep our anchors and chain away from them. Sand is the optimal ground for the best hold that you can have. Mud could be good or it could be terrible. It could be having like really good suction power, but it could also be that gooey thing and your anchor is just gonna slide on it. Gravel, not the best, but sometimes it's hold. Rocks could potentially be a good holding towards your anchor, but it could also hold your anchor forever, and then you need to ditch it or find a way to get it unstuck. Another important aspect of anchoring is the counter lines of the bay. You want to drop your anchor from deep water all the way back, dragging to shallower water. The other way will not work so good. So you can have a look at the counter lines of the bay and drop your anchor perpendicular to them so that you are going from deep water to shallow water. Doing a Mediterranean mooring where you're tying with stern lines to the rock can make sure that your anchor is facing from deep water to shallow water. If you're in a bay where those counter lines are spread apart and pretty much it's the same depth everywhere, then you do not need to worry about this. Component number 4, the environment. It goes without saying that you should check the weather before you choose where you want to drop your anchor. You should choose an appropriate bay and a place inside that bay, because that also plays a major role in it, because some areas in that bay are probably more protected than the other. Check that you have protection from incoming swell and strong winds, and do remember that systems might arrive a little bit earlier, so check the weather forecast by looking at the big picture and looking further. If you need help with understanding how to read weather forecast, check out my video right here, or just search YouTube for Oran Teach and Weather or Oran Teach Navally to see how I choose bays for anchoring. Gather as much information as you can about that specific bay. Ask Google, Navally, other captains, fishermen, whatever you need to get information, because microclimate plays a crucial role here. You might be thinking you are protected in a certain wind direction, but actually the wind goes up the hills, funnel down the tunnel, and comes back hitting you in 40 knots on that specific spot where you chose to anchor. I recommend you start writing stuff in your logbook. Look with your eyes and describe these nature phenomenons. This skill alone has improved my anchoring skills so much, because in the past I used to anchor in places right in front of a funnel and get hit by a strong gust of 40 knots of wind when it was blowing 20 during the night. Also remember phenomenons like sea breeze and land breeze that operate really strong in some areas, so do take that into consideration when you are anchoring. Another subject in the field of environment is paying attention to other boats when you're anchoring in a crowded bay. Make sure that you have enough distance and enough swing room from other type of boats. The best place to drop your anchor in a crowded bay is usually behind another boat's stern, because they are already maxed out on their chain and you're starting to drop behind them. And also, try to drop next to boats with similar type of hulls, because boats with different number types of hulls tend to swing differently. Component number 5 is the mindset. And what do I mean with the mindset is that you need to remember that stuff can still go wrong. Anchoring can give us the illusion that we're all good, but nature can still slap you people still might get injured or another boat might surprise you and cause damages. As captains, we need to rest. We need to let go of responsibility for a little bit. And after we drop the anchor, it's the perfect time to relax, to have a beer, to go on a swim, go on a hike, go eat in a restaurant and enjoy boat life. So you need to set up routines that will help you balance your mindset between relaxing and awareness. My favorite routines/mindsets are: tidy up the deck before jumping to do anything else. This will prevent me from having shit shows while I'm having another shit show. For example, stowing away the lines so that I don't have a prop wrap when I'm trying to raise my anchor during an emergency. Staying connected to weather changes. Even if I'm on land and off the boat, I keep my head up and I pay attention to weather changes. If the wind all of a sudden changes unexpectedly or I feel a little bit of drizzle, this will raise a red flag. Not panicking when the anchor is starting to drag. It's very tempting to do something fast when you feel that the anchor is starting to drag. But if you have space, and I hope that you do when you're anchoring, then relax. It takes time before something crucial happens. Relax, breathe, think, and look before you do anything else. Another thing I do that might sound silly to you is that if I'm expecting strong winds or my holding is not the best, then I leave some halyards loose so that if wind comes, I can hear them banging on the mast or on the deck and wake up and check my transits and see that everything is good. I sometimes even drink a lot of water, so I'm easily more woken up to take a piss and check my transits. Don't be afraid to tell your crew, hey guys, tonight we are doing anchor watch if you are uncomfortable with your anchor holding. Set up a nice and convenient anchor watch and do not do it all by yourself. If really bad weather is coming in, then I'm stepping into serious mode, stowing everything away, wet weather gear is on, and only essential crew will be on top up there with me to wait out the storm. Last thing I will mention is an anchor alarm. I mention it in the last because I normally don't really use it. I use charter boats that don't have the best systems in the world. But I know that some boats have really good anchor alarm systems, so feel free to use them. It's just I don't want you to be 100% reliant on them. This is not an excuse to disconnect yourself from the surrounding. To make yourself drag, a lot of wind needs to happen. And if you don't feel a lot of wind, then I encourage you to start paying attention to your surrounding a little bit more. Now that we talked about all these components that make up anchoring, how do you actually drop anchor? How to drop anchor, common mistakes, and what to actually do if your anchor is starting to drag. All this and more in the next episode right here. I'll see you there.